I don't want to call anyone monkeys, but monkey
Be
see,
careful.
monkey see, monkey do.
Okay.
So it's
I'm just the host.
he's my mentor. I'm just saying.
I'm in so much trouble. All right, welcome to the Iterative Approach podcast, where we talk about everything Agile. A lot of companies nowadays work with the Agile framework, mainly Scrum. However, I've noticed a weird pattern. Despite the fact working with Scrum, many companies do not hire Scrum Masters. The Scrum Master serves as a coach for the development team and the product owner. One of their key responsibilities is to ensure that the team is adequately trained and understands the Agile process. The team members know their specific role and are dedicated to the project. I'm joined in the session tonight by Maryke, one of our very talented Scrum Masters. Maryke, introduce yourself.
Hello, Herman. So, obviously, I'm Maryke. Fun fact, I've only been a Scrum Master now for about 5 months. So, if I get some stuff wrong, I'm a newbie. And before this, I was actually the company's office manager. And about 9-10 months ago, I did not even know what a Scrum Master is.
Okay.
Yeah.
What pushed you into the role of a Scrum Master, or what was appealing to about a Scrum Master for you?
So when I started here, my goal was to see where I can grow and, what will be my future role besides just, managing the office. And I did a lot of research about the different roles, and I feel
Is this now roles even above and beyond or outside of Scrum Master?
Yeah,
Okay.
so I had a look at a project manager because I have the business management background, and then I was like, well, I don't think I can become a developer. That's a special kind of species.
Right?
Yeah.
Special kind of people. I know.
And then a BA, I was like, oh, I'm not a big fan of a lot of documentation. And then I heard of Scrum Master, and the name itself, I was like, I want to find out what this is. What is a Scrum Master? And when I just joined some of the meetings, I don't know, it really clicked with my personality, and I just felt like this is what I want to do. Okay. Because I also did a lot of research on the internet actually about Scrum Master, and while I'm reading it, I'm like,
other than encyclopedias and stuff like that, where you usually do your research, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have to do it on. Okay.
I was like, what is this? No amount of YouTube videos, I don't know, it just did not give me the knowledge that I needed up until I actually sat in some of the Scrum ceremonies, and I was like, okay.
So let's quickly, before we start with the questions, before you got into really knowing what a Scrum Master is and going for your certification, what was your perception of a Scrum Master? At its core, what did you have in mind a Scrum Master actually does?
Have fun.
Really?
No.
What?
No.
It's kind of part of it.
Yeah. It seemed like it's ever changing. It's not always the same thing every single day. There's just different scenarios, different stuff popping up. Yeah, definitely that.
Awesome. Thanks for the lovely intro. Let's go off with the questions. All right. So personally, I've got some experience in both scenarios where, with and without a Scrum Master, where a company employs one. Companies still think the Scrum Master role is not necessary. So with your, and I say this kind of tongue in cheek, with your limited experience as a Scrum Master, right? from your viewpoint, is a Scrum Master role needed? And what would the impact be without a Scrum Master on delivery?
Well, it's very interesting that some companies, especially in Agile, like, think that a Scrum Master is not needed.
Yeah.
I definitely think that a Scrum Master plays a very vital role in a team, but I also have to say that otherwise I won't have a job.
It's covering your bases. That's great. That's great.
I'm kidding. No, obviously at the beginning, I did not necessarily know the value that a Scrum Master has, because I was like, but developers can type their own emails, they can, manage their own time, they can plan their own work. Like, why do they need me? Yeah. But then I had the graduates. Okay. and
that was your first big introduction to Scrum.
Yeah.
Kind of threw you in the deep end and just go.
Just like, here's a team, Scrum.
Who did that to you? Shame, man. That's terrible.
No, but I'm really, really glad for that opportunity, because at first they didn't have any, they weren't allowed to have a Scrum Master. They had to have that role by themselves. And I always stood on the sidelines because I knew that I was going to be their Scrum Master. So, I just kind of had a look at what they're doing. And I could just see their hulle het afgeval. I don't even know how to say that in English, but
they were a bit lost.
They were all over the place. Yeah. They didn't know what to do. There was no structure. Yes, there was no structure in anything that they did. So that's when I realized a Scrum Master is actually so necessary, because the moment I came in there, I brought structure. Immediately they were like, okay, wow, and I helped them manage their time. I helped them understand why we have sprints and why we need to do sprint planning, and the review sessions. Oh, I remember how stressed they were, having to review. And then the retrospectives, and taking what we learned through that and actually going into the next sprint with the approach of how can we improve. And I really think that the Scrum Master helps assist in that constant, continuous improvement in teams, and making sure that we deliver value in the time that it needs to be delivered. I think each team member has a specific role that they play, and a Scrum Master, devs aren't necessarily that good at managing their time or stuff like that. So the Scrum Master comes in and they assist, mentor, and facilitate, help them.
Okay. So would you say that kind of first big team that you ran with the graduate programs at Agile Bridge, did you kind of iteratively improve as you kind of went along each sprint, just as the developers themselves?
Yes,
okay.
Definitely they did, and not just, I feel like they're not the only ones that improved. I myself improved a lot. I learned so much by being their Scrum Master, and even till now, my teams that I have now, it's continuous, I learn something new every day, and I love that.
Cool. Okay, so jumping to question 2. Companies that implement Agile as a quick solution to keep up with, what's current, always fail, right? So my question to you is, as a Scrum Master, how do you go about implementing a truly company-wide Agile mindset, and how long do you think that would take to implement Agile correctly?
Well, I don't necessarily think that you can put a specific time frame on implementing it, because I think that it varies from company to company. Yeah. Some companies will be in a much bigger state of readiness to actually move into Agile than other companies. Other companies might first want to test out the waters and, see what it's all about. So I really think that it depends a lot on the readiness to change. And then I also really think that the culture of the company plays such a vital role in actually moving it to, to Agile. Because if you look at our company and the culture that it has, like our culture takes those values and we actually live it out. Like we teach Agile through our culture, basically. Okay. So, and then so I really feel like it's all about the teams and the culture that will depend on how quick or how long it will take. And I really think that people should know that it's not a quick thing. I mean, if I look at myself, like, at first when I walked in here, did not know anything about Agile. And like the longer I was part of this culture, the more I realized like how amazing Agile is. And then also speaking to like outsiders, my friends, my family, telling them what I do and the culture that we have here, they're like, wow, I wish we had that in our company. Or they would say like, we need something like this in our company. And like educating them and training them, talking about success stories. I really think that will like pull people into using the Agile principles.
And it's also it's something like, if you think about it, yes, we as a company and a culture does adopt Agile and everything, and it becomes very difficult when you engage with clients or third parties that do not subscribe to the Agile way of working and they're still in the waterfall way. It's always nice when you kind of, it's through the actions that you do and the retros and the consistency that you take your team through, that most of the time, like 99% of the time, people will fall in line because they can see the value and they can see the results.
Definitely.
Which is pretty awesome. Cool. So there seems to be a clear indicator of what is expected from a Scrum Master, right? A big part of this is teaching, which responsibilities include the implement project management best practices, introduce Agile engineering practices, and teach Scrum practices and principles. This is like the textbook, what we should know. So my question is, what is your experience in teaching how Agile works? And how will it benefit a project? How do you go about teaching Agile and showing the value?
Well, first of all, I think teaching by doing. It's like that thing of, I don't want to call anyone monkeys, but monkey see, monkey see, monkey do.
Okay.
No, so it's
I'm just the host.
He's my mentor. I'm just saying.
I'm in so much trouble.
No, but like living out the Agile, principles yourself. Like you can't teach someone to do something if you don't do it yourself.
And believe in it, right?
Yes, definitely believe in it. So I think that training is very important. Like once again, the grads, I remember that I had to train them as to, what the different Scrum ceremonies are, why they're important. And it's only after them, having that light bulb moment, they knew the importance of it. And when they saw the difference between what they did before they had the Scrum Master versus like what we did as a team together, like they saw the difference in it. They saw the impact that it made, especially to the delivery. I mean, the first month there was nothing delivered because there was no Scrum Master.
Again, I'm not saying anything.
Sorry, grads. I love you. But so the more we, did the Scrum ceremonies, the better improvement there was in like what they delivered and the amount of time they delivered it in.
And then it's always very difficult to teach someone and have them retain that information, right? Did you do anything special to kind of go about teaching them, like you said now in your words, monkey see, monkey do. But did you do any like formal training with them? Did you sit them down? How does your training regimen with a new team like this work?
So sadly, by that time, like I was still like very, very newbie. So I did not necessarily do a formal training where I actually had PowerPoint presentations like you do with new starters. And yeah, I really think, that is important because I've seen you train new starters like on the Agile, like the values and everything Agile that we have when they walk in here. And that's so important for them. Like when they come in here, they, see through like your presentations and like very interactive sessions what it's all about. For me, I think at that time, like the training was more just telling them stories and actually just showing them what I do and what I've done. I also remember, students from TIX, they came here for a day just to like see what we're all about, and Nicole and them asked me to teach them about Scrum, like just tell them, because they didn't know anything. And it was just so cool. I told them stories and just like what we did, and I told them like places where I've gone wrong and then places of improvement. And afterwards I could really see they knew more what I was talking about. And the one girl was like, wow, this is so cool, this is maybe something that I want to do. I'm like, go for it.
And it's a nice feeling when you're passionate about something and you can see the passion in others, right? As you tell those stories or your scenarios, where you kind of also reflect on yourself when you tell these stories. And I'm like, I've told a couple, and I was like, I could have handled it so much better. I could have done that. I could have, but coulda, woulda, shoulda. But it's always nice to engage with people, and you have them actively listen and try to improve. Okay. So in my world, a project manager success is measured against risk management and delivery within a project budget. So my question is, what is the success factors of a Scrum Master within an Agile project and team?
Well, for me, I take the team as serious as like, if the team fails, then that means I failed. Like I failed at my job if my team fails. Okay. It's serious, but rough, but I really feel then that like, even though it's them actually doing the physical job, if they don't meet those deadlines, then that means I did not facilitate them while in getting there. I did not communicate better. I did not mentor them or coach them to make sure that they stay on track. So I really feel like if the team fails, then like I've failed them. Not necessarily I've like failed, but I failed them in mentoring them and coaching them. So for me, success is open communication, making sure that we speak openly and freely, making sure that I get the information from the stakeholders to the developers. That communication has to be there, because if they just keep going and the client wants something, and I think that the communication between myself and the client in that way is also very important, because we can keep going and going and going, but if we don't speak to the client and actually find out like, are they still happy with this, then we might end up having more work because we did not communicate with the client. So and just continuous improvement, that is really what brings success.
So in other words, you would say, let's say, for instance, a team's velocity. If the velocity increases, that's your measure of success, because you kind of put processes and maybe changed one or two things for the team, facilitating that to make sure that they are kind of at optimum the whole time, improving, going along.
Yes.
Okay. So do you feel the same with a success? As you said now, failure feels that it's on you. Do you feel the same with success? Is it also, you feel part of the team and you guys, fail as a team, you also win as a team?
Definitely. I feel like the team's failures and successes is mine as well. When the graduates graduated,
Humble brag. All right.
No, but they're like, I miss having them as my team.
Well, to be fair, they are and they were your first team where you saw value.
Yes.
You taught yourself, how to implement Scrum and how it works every time you improve yourself.
Yeah.
I think we had that conversation today where I asked, how long have you been doing this? And you said 5 months, and my mind just went, there's no way that this is only 5 months that you've done this. So I think, and you are correct, all right? If you are a good Scrum Master, you fail and succeed with your team, because that is, in theory, and this is the actual Scrum guide, is a Scrum team consists of developers, testers, and a Scrum Master. That is the team, right? So that's, but yeah, that failing is a bit harsh, but yeah, we'll talk about that later.
But
don't stress.
Yeah, but like with them, their success, like my heart, like I can't even explain how proud I was. Like I was crying, because you become so part of that. So when they do succeed, it's like, wow, like you're so proud of them.
And also that because you are so invested in them, almost like I don't want to diminish anything or anyone, but it's almost like a parent. You feel that as you have them improve and be better, you feel fulfilled and great, I'm being validated, I'm doing a good job and everything.
Definitely.
So it is a parental kind of or more servant leader kind of role and mindset, which is pretty cool. I wish my successes were like that, but it's okay.
Hey.
Right. Time, in my opinion, is one of the most valuable assets we as humans have, right? The expression time is money in most business environments are used. So my question to you, and this is kind of something that we always, the companies struggle with, and I think that's also one of the reasons why they don't have a specific Scrum Master, because they can't see the value if they implement it, is to validate or make sure that they can justify the cost, right? So my question is, you as a Scrum Master, how do you justify spending time on planning, refining, reviews, and retros as part of the development lifecycle a client has to pay for?
Well,
it's a rough one. But
it is, and it might seem like counterintuitive, like why do you have to spend 2 hours on planning? Why do you need 1 hour for a retro? Like, why do you need the time for the refinement? But I really think that it brings so much value in actually planning and going, having that retrospective and looking at what you did well, what did not go well, what action points we can use going forward. And I really think that if you do not plan, what's that? There's a saying, like if you
I've got one,
plan,
but I can't say it on a podcast.
If you fail to plan, you plan to fail.
Yeah, that's the nice version.
Yeah, that's.
I've got another one, but I won't say it.
And that's kind of what it is, because let's say we don't have planning. Now you just go into this project, and let's say the project is 3 months. Where do you begin? Like, where do you start? How long will it take you to actually finish this project? How long will a section of or a feature or a user story actually take you? If the team just had to jump in and start working, I think it would be everything will just be flying around and actually daar's 'n woord wat ek wil gebruik but I can't, it's something show, it's just all over the place. And I really think that is what our ceremonies actually bring value for, like the 2-hour sprint planning. That's so important because first of all, we, get the goal. Like, what's the goal for the sprint? We break up the entire project into smaller increments to make sure that we reach the project on time. Because I think that, if I think back, my boss at today is like,
which was like last month, right?
No. But there would be times that I had this big project and then I would like leave it until the last minute and then try to like press everything, make sure that it's done. And then I get so freaked out and stressed out. And then I don't do it to the best of my abilities. Whereas over here, we don't get to that place because we break it up. We make this huge giant mountain look like a small little wobblekey. So the planning is very important, and then the refinement, making sure that we're still on the right track, making sure that we're not doing any work that's not needed. And then the retrospectives, I kind of feel like it's a breathing moment for developers, like giving them the opportunity to like relax and just to be, and to not, you think of work, but you also get to have a little bit of fun. I like putting on music and, different types of themes for the retrospectives and make it a safe space for them to actually really talk about what's going on. And if you don't have that and actually go through what's going well and what's not going well, like how can you plan for the future? How can you make sure that you don't make the same mistakes?
Gotcha.
So retrospectives, like it's actually like one of my favorite parts of like the entire Scrum.
So if I put all your wonderful words and everything together, you would then put the value on future-proofing and making sure you deliver.
Yes.
Right?
Definitely.
Awesome. All right. A Scrum Master. As a Scrum Master, your main role is to assist and facilitate self-sufficient development teams, right? So my question to you is, in your opinion, and drawing from experience, is the Scrum Master still needed on a high or a mature self-sufficient team?
That's a hard one, because that's now where it's kind of like they're not your children anymore. They're now teenagers, or they're like young adults going off into the world,
I was a young adult and I needed constant supervision.
Exactly. So I think that a Scrum Master still brings value in making sure that this mature team stays mature, but not only stays mature, but keeps evolving, keeps growing, keeps maturing, because there's always room for growth. Like you never get to a place in your life where you've like all sorted and you've got like everything under control.
Because life isn't perfect.
Yes.
The client doesn't always stay the same.
Exactly.
Just off the top of my head, you can have a self-sufficient team, but throw them on another client or another project or something feature. It's almost like they're back to basics or back to square one. So yeah, you're absolutely right. That constant involvement and facilitation from a Scrum Master is always needed.
Yeah, and I think that a Scrum Master also then, the Scrum Master is like the bridge between the development team and the client, and making sure that there's communication, because a developer might not think of constantly contacting the client, making sure that they're happy. And also if there's any conflict in the team, then a Scrum Master is like that middleman. A Scrum Master brings a different kind of perspective. They listen to both sides of the story, and they bring unity and coaching and mentoring. Like if you and I were the only two in the team and we were bickering, then how are we going to resolve anything? So I really think that a Scrum Master is still very valuable, even in a mature team.
Awesome. Great answer. I love that. Interactions and constant communication with clients, which you've mentioned, right, is one of the key elements for success in a project. So my question is, how do you as a Scrum Master position yourself to not just assist the team, but assist the client as well?
Well, so I have had a client who wasn't actually sure on like how the Scrum rituals work. Like he was very, not ritual, ceremonies.
Sure.
Sound like witchcraft. Scrumcraft.
Some people say development is witchcraft, so that's okay.
Yeah. But, also making sure that the client understands what we're doing, but also not what we're doing, but why we're doing it. Having that constant communication with them, as mentioned, and also teaching them if they do not understand the different types of ceremonies that we have, and inviting them into that space, making sure that they also feel part of this entire process, because in the end, like, this project is their baby, this is their dream. So making sure that we include them, that makes them feel part of this, and it makes them feel like, we're not just going and doing our own thing, but constantly including them. So I make sure that we keep an open communication with the client, and making sure that we are on the same page, making sure that they're still happy. If not, like, how can we change? How can we make this better? Yeah.
Okay. And would you say you would go as far as to try and change a client's way of working or process to fit Scrum, or do you adapt Scrum to fit into their processes?
I'd say adapt, because with Agile, we learn to adapt. With the client, they don't necessarily want to adapt, or they're not necessarily open to it. So with us having the Agile mindset, choosing to rather adapt and, go with what they want and their style of doing things, even though it's not necessarily ours, but also, not being just a yes and amen, but asking, can I maybe share my opinion? Would you like to hear what we have in mind? And it has happened like that in teams, where the client has come and said, like, they want this. And then the development team says, like, we hear you and it's a great idea, but what about this? And then the client's like, oh, I haven't thought of that. So, so,
That's awesome.
adapt or die.
There we go. It's like a Bear Grylls poster. I gotcha. All right, so moving on to the discussion section, right? In your opinion, where would a person start to get involved with the role of a Scrum Master? And what attributes should be present to ensure success? Would they need to have any technical skills? Go for it.
Okay, number one. So for me, what I first did is I asked a lot of questions. I sat in on some of the ceremonies where I was allowed to sit in.
I remember.
And really, learning and getting a mentor to teach you on what it's all about. And then if you get to that place of like, okay, I have an idea of what Scrum Master is all about, then you can get your certification. So I did mine through Scrum Alliance. So and it was a 3-day course. It was very interactive, very fun. I think also having that thing of, you want to improve yourself. That was where I was at. I was like, I want to be better. I want to do something better. I want to have like purpose. Purpose.
Don't we all?
And I really felt like this is something for me, and that's why I pursued it. And then the attributes, I would say, first of all, having that characteristic of always wanting to improve. So because if you are constantly improving, your team will see that and they would want to improve. Be that motivation for them to be better, but you can only do that if you're better yourself. I really think that having good, people skills, it's a plus point because you do work with people. You have to resolve conflict. You have to listen and, be that ear for developers. There's sometimes that you can't even really help them, but you can just listen, even if it's, I don't know, them wanting to talk about their cats or their dogs, you just listen. Yeah. So active listening skills, definitely. Yeah. And then, what was the last question?
The last one is, do you
technical,
need any technical skills?
No. No, so, I still don't have technical skills.
Okay, so, all right. So, as a Scrum Master, what do you see as technical skills?
So, I see technical skills as like knowing what's behind the scenes, not just knowing what front end is or back end is, but actually knowing the code, knowing what goes, that's like gibberish to me. But actually, when they speak of pipelines and when they
Kubernetes and clusters and all the big words that they love throwing around,
and the repositories and what then it's like like the environment's down. Okay.
Sure.
Let me show you where you should go to. Speak to this person. I can't help you with it. No, so at the beginning it was like very hard for me. I felt so overwhelmed with all of these words that was just like flying around, and I felt like I did not know how to help them. But the more I got part of the team and also, learning from them, asking them questions, asking them, what is this? What is this that you talk about? Please explain to me how a PR works.
So to be fair, when I started my journey as a Scrum Master and kind of in the digital world, which was a couple of years ago, I almost came to the realization, or I actually asked one of my teams, I'm like, guys, are you just messing with me? Like, you're throwing around these big words. Are you just like really, are you just trying to upset me, or is this a game or something? But I do understand. But it's also, it's not that you need to, because the team relies on you, right? You also need to rely on your team for the technical know-how and all of that kind of stuff. So throughout your journey, and I think this is just a little bit of advice from my side, is you will start to pick up on the slang and the way that working, and up until the day that you realize that you giving them advice, not really advice, but just supporting them and going, hey, have we thought about the security aspect of this, because we're doing a checkout or a cart, something like that. So it sounds big, and it's like some of the stuff I can't even spell. But it becomes better. So, but technically, you don't need that technical big. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. So, last discussion point for the night. How do you keep your skills growing in an always changing delivery environment? What techniques do you use to ensure that you keep your teams informed as well as yourself?
Well, as like mentioned a lot of times earlier, is to lead by example.
You mean last week?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lead by example. Yeah. Make sure that you can't tell someone to improve if you're not improving yourself, because they won't listen. They'll be like, but you don't do it, so why should I do it? But,
lead by example, right?
Yeah, definitely. So I would say, first of all, get yourself a mentor or a coach, to teach you what monkeys do. I'm just kidding. It's just like a metaphor. Anyway, so I would say that, and watching videos. Just do workshops, maybe attend. I know that at Microsoft, they have Scrum Master get-togethers. I think
the meetups.
The meetups, join meetups like that. Make sure you collaborate with other people. I really think that it's important for you to learn from others, because a lot of people have done this way longer than you maybe have, and you might think that you know a lot, but they know more, and
Yeah.
there will be someone that knows more than them. So that's how we always grow, is by like just learning from each other. And I would say like be open to very good like feedback. What's the
Criticism?
yeah, but
Constructive criticism?
it's like, don't take offense if
Yeah.
someone says you're doing something wrong. Like, see that as an opportunity for growth and be open to that.
All right. So I'm guessing that's a whack at me, right?
No.
No, I would never. Listen, Maryke, thank you so much for joining us tonight. It was an absolute pleasure. And again, I cannot believe you've only done this for 5 months. I cannot wait to see what you can do after a year.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks, man.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you to our sponsor, Agile Bridge. The unique blend of experience, accreditation, and in-depth business knowledge drive the crafting of integrated and empowering software solutions to medium and large corporate clients. Find out more by visiting agilebridge.co.za or send an email to info@agilebridge.co.za.